Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and we're doing a follow-up on our Moto Z2 Force that we looked at the other day because they also let me borrow one of their Moto Mods, and these are devices that attach to the back of these Moto Z phones. The prior generation phone supports this. The new one, of course, does as well. And the one we're going to look at today is their 360-degree camera. This should be out sometime in August of 2017, and it will allow you to take photos and video in 360 degrees, and there's also going to be a feature to stream it live to social networking sites. Unfortunately, at the time that I'm recording this, it doesn't allow for that, so hopefully we'll do a follow-up review when that feature is enabled. So I'm going to have this be a first look because this is still a little rough around the edges, and I think there are some areas that they'll probably be working on prior to its official release. Now, I do want to mention, in the interest of full disclosure, that this, along with the phone, are on loan from Motorola. When we're done with this review, we're sending it back to them. All the opinions you're about to hear are my own. Nobody is paying for this review, and no one is reviewing this content before it is posted. So let's take a closer look now at the hardware. This is one of the Moto Mods, and if you're not familiar with these, this is a proprietary Motorola format that has these little devices here connect up to the back of a compatible phone. So this will work with the new Z2 Force that I have here. It will also work with the prior generation phones as well. And all these phones have these special little connectors here, and all you have to do is just line the two of them up here. It connects and locks in with the magnet. It's easy to take off, but it doesn't easily come off by accident. So they really do kind of meld with the phone quite nicely, which is a nice feature. The problem, though, with this is that it costs a lot, especially compared to other 360 cameras with similar performance attributes. So this will shoot 4K, but only at 24 frames per second. Very similar in performance to the new Samsung 360 camera that's out there, yet this one costs a lot more. So $299 for the camera module by itself. You still, of course, need the phone to make it work, and the camera module will only work with the phone. So if you decide to switch to another brand of phone a year or two from now, this thing will be useless because it will not work unless it's docked on the back of the phone here. Pretty simple otherwise, though. It's just a two-lens device here. They do have a nice little silicone lens cover here that you can put over it to keep the lenses protected when it's not in use. They do recommend using some kind of cloth to get it cleaned up before you start shooting with it. I did find it picks up fingerprints very easily, and those immediately show up on the pictures that you're taking. So that's it. You just plug it into the back of the phone here, and you're off and running. So let's see how it works, then we'll take a look at some image samples. Now, the cool thing about this is that it integrates directly with the camera app on the phone. There's no second app to install. So I'm just going to load up the camera here, and you can see it's automatically detecting that I have the Moto 360 camera attached. And if I ever want to switch, if I maybe want to go back to my internal camera, I can just hit this little button here and select the phone camera. So you do have the option to very easily go back and forth on it to your built-in camera. So right now I'm kind of in the default mode, and as I move my finger across the bottom of the screen here, you can see that yellow bar will move, and that will kind of show me what I am looking at on screen. So you can really get a look at everything the camera can see. Now, if I want to take a picture, I just hit the picture button here, and it will take a second, snap the picture, and drop it into my camera roll. The cool thing about this is that if you take these photos and videos just off your phone, whether you're transferring them through the internet or emailing them to yourself or just going through some kind of file transfer app, they all work automatically with YouTube and Facebook. There's no other thing to run. I found in some of these other 360 cameras, you got to run some kind of injection app or run it through some special software. As soon as that picture is taken and you upload it to YouTube or Facebook, it's working just fine. No additional work needed. So that was nice to see there. There's a couple different ways to view the image here. So right now we've got it in my favorite mode, which is the ability to kind of look around your scene here to see what you're shooting. You can also hit this button right over there and get a few different options. So you can get the globe view here if you want something like that. You can also hit this again and switch to a front and back kind of view, and you can get this one back again just by tapping on that. So lots of different ways to look at it there. You also have the ability here to set up some of the features of the camera. So right now I've got it set to 4K Ultra HD. This shoots at a max of 24 frames per second. I do think you get a few more frames per second out of the 1080p mode. But here's the thing with these 360-degree cameras. You really want to shoot at the highest possible resolution because these images are recorded in kind of a circular fashion and then are stitched back together again. And when they get stretched out, you're really going to see the differences between how a 360 360 video works versus a more traditional video. The sensor is not being utilized in the same way that it might on a traditional camera. So the more resolution, the better. But even at 4K, as you'll see here in a minute, it's not going to be mind-blowing. The professionals still use multiple cameras on these little balls and everything to try to get as much visual input as possible into their productions, and it's just not possible even on a $300 device to even come close to replicating that just yet. So just keep your expectations in check there. Now, speaking of video, if you want to shoot some video, you can just tap on the little film icon there, hit the record button, and you can still browse around while you're recording, which is pretty cool. And that's one of the nice things about this new generation of Snapdragon processors, is that it is very fast for this kind of stuff. So it seems to be doing quite well. When you're done recording, it will drop it into your photo roll like it does the other files there, and you can then upload it to YouTube or Facebook and have it automatically recognize that. We'll take a look at some image samples of how that works in a minute. They do have some ways to adjust the exposure if you want to do some manual control of it. You go back over to the photo mode here, click on this icon on the right. You can go over to professional mode where you have the ability to adjust the white balance and the exposure and the ISO settings here. So some manual controls on there. I would imagine they'll improve that over time. There's also a way to do an ultra wide angle photo here where you can take one picture out of the front or rear of this camera and get a nice super wide angle shot. A good example of what that looks like you can see on screen right now, so that is pretty cool. Eventually the ability to stream to online services will also be contained in that menu, but unfortunately we can't check that out just yet. And if you want to review your handiwork, you can just swipe to the right here to pull up the photo gallery. And for example, I can scroll over to one of my photos here, and I can click on the edit button and load up the 360 editor so I can do some cropping, some light cropping here. It's a little complicated, of course, with 360-degree photos, but you can reduce the image area that you can scroll within, and it's all tightly integrated into their existing photo interface here. So you do have some pretty cool stuff that you can work with here. You can also crop out a still photo just by clicking the two-dimensional crop there too, if you just want to grab a single frame out of the image there. There's also the ability to apply some filters to these 360s if you want to do that, and you can of course adjust some of the exposure and other things there for still images. There is also some very rudimentary video editing built into the app here. So if we have a video up on screen like I have now, I can click on the edit button. The scissors icon here down on the lower left will allow me to cut the video and make it shorter if I wish. So that's one way to trim out portions of the video that you don't want. There's no way really though to set a playhead and cut out the middle. So it's only a beginning and the end kind of trim to it. There's also the ability to string multiple clips together. So I could click the plus icon here, go over to my photo roll and find another 360 video that I might want to drop in. So I can take this one here, for example, drop it in, and after the first scene is played, it will then begin the second scene. Nothing groundbreaking here, but if you've got a bunch of videos you want to put in a single video, this will let you do that. And there is another cool feature on this called Director's Cut. And what this lets you do is make a non-360 video where you define what the viewer can see. So basically outputs a regular video file, and the angles are determined as you edit here. So let me go over to the director's clapboard icon down here at the bottom, and if I click on that, it's first going to ask me for an aspect ratio. So if I do 1:1, that might be good for Instagram, for example, to get a square video here. I'm going to click on the record icon, and it's going to start playing back. So right now it's kind of focused on the front of the car here, and maybe when we get to the stop sign, I'll scroll a little bit. So maybe I'll go scroll this way now to kind of show what might be coming through that intersection, and you can see now we'll do that turn, and then maybe I'll go and show the rear of the car here as we drive, and then maybe I want to go a little bit to this side again, kind of like an angled shot here. So we've got that going on, and then I'm going to click pause now and then click save, and what it's going to do now is just make a regular video that I could upload to another service. But watch what happens as it plays back. It's going to remember all the things that I just did. Now the viewer cannot interact with this video at all. This is going to be you as the director deciding what they see from your 360 video. So if you've got people that can't work with 360 video, or maybe you're uploading it to a platform that doesn't support it, you can basically define what they'll see in the course of that. It doesn't look so great here because I was moving a little too quickly, but you get the idea as to how it works. Now the output quality of those director's cut videos are not going to be all that great. There'll be a lot of compression artifacts and stuff in there. It didn't look fantastic, but it is kind of cool the way it works, and hopefully they can work on some of the quality moving forward. But part of the quality issue is just the nature of the technology. Remember, even though you're shooting 4K, the images will not be spectacular. Let's take a look first, though, at some still images, and I'm looking at this on Facebook because I figured it would be fun to see how these images look in their final destinations. I think most people will probably share these on some kind of social platform. So here I am at my desk shooting the video. What's nice is that it doesn't really kill your hands here too much, so you do get a good view of your hands. Of course, you don't see the phone because it is the thing taking the picture, but you can scroll around here and see how everything looks. I'll zoom in a little bit and you can get a feel for some of the detail on it. So you can see the detail isn't spectacular. Again, it's just due to the nature of how these cameras work, but not bad. It's a little grainy here in the lower light areas, but it does pick up a pretty decent scene for a still image, so that works pretty nicely. I also have some video here. We'll start with the video that we just looked at on the director's cut. This is coming through YouTube. This is at the 4K resolution, and it looks okay. It's about where I've seen other 4K cameras like this one perform, so not bad. But you'll notice right here, there's a bit of an issue where it's stitching those two cameras together. This looks like something they have to fix in software or firmware as this product gets further developed here before it's released. So I think that'll be something you'll see fixed, but at the moment there is a pretty good dividing line here between the two cameras there. But it does seem to look pretty nice here for what it is. You can see me smiling as I hope I don't drop the phone out the car window as we're driving there. And here I am walking my dog, and you can see how this works. It looks okay. It's not the most spectacular image quality, but again, about in line where I've seen other cameras like this one perform. So you're not going to get the detail that you might see from more professional rigs. We still have that issue here with the dividing line between the two lenses going on there, but not bad for what it is, but it is no better than any of the other devices I've looked at around this price point. And of course, you are now locked in because this camera will not function without the phone. And if you ever decide to change phone brands, or maybe Motorola in a year or two decides that they want to change the way their phones look, you might lose the ability to use this dock with it. So that's one strike against it. But I am very eager to see how this streaming to social media platforms will work, because that might be the real differentiator here. This camera does not connect with Wi-Fi to the phone. It is directly connected through those pogo plugs here on the back. It's transferring data back to the phone, so your Wi-Fi connection doesn't have to be made between the camera and the device here. And that might make it better for streaming to these services, especially if you're live streaming something where there's a lot of other Wi-Fi interference. You have one less thing to go wrong while you're trying to do a quick 360 stream, and that might be really compelling, but I can't test it yet, which is why we'll probably come back to this in a few weeks when they release that feature, because that might be the reason that you might want to look at this versus getting a standalone camera, the ability to just have that camera directly connected. So we'll keep an eye on this and see what happens with it next. I will put the sample footage that you saw in this video up on my extras channel. I'll also put a playlist together where you can compare the footage from this camera with a few of the others that I've looked at that cost around the same price point. So that'll do it for this one. This is Lon.TV. Thanks for watching.
This channel is brought to you by my Patreon supporters, including Gold Level supporter Cody Falk. If you want to help the channel, you can by contributing as little as $1 a month. Head over to Lon.TV/Patreon to learn more. And don't forget to subscribe. Visit Lon.TV/S.